Everyone knows that potential employers will check the backgrounds of applicants as standard practice. And if you have a clean background, then there's no problem, right? But what about those who have done something wrong in their past? How should employers handle them? And more importantly, how should we handle them as a society? I believe that there's no question that persons with convictions for sexual or violent crimes in their nature should have their records follow them around for the rest of their lives. It's part of their crime. The victims will carry those scars psychologically or physically for the rest of their lives. So I guess it's only fair. But what about the people who are convicted of non-violent crimes in a time of youth or stupidity? Those people's convictions follow them around in the same way as the rapists or the murderers follow them around for the rest of their lives. Today, I would like to raise some questions that I think are not considered enough in today's get tough on crime world. Under our current system, felony convictions, no matter the charge, are a matter of public record forever. In some states, even a non-conviction or police investigations are offered up to anyone who requests it. For example, if someone who drives exactly the same car as you do robs a bank, but you are incorrectly put on trial for that bank robbery, only to be acquitted because the real bank robber confesses, when a potential employer gets a background check done on you, then the police might offer up that information saying that you were investigated and acquitted of a bank robbery. Now you can only imagine the surprise that might cause, and also the concern it might cause, to a potential employer. On the other hand, if you're convicted of, for example, felony drunk driving, and you subsequently give up drinking and you live cleanly, at what point have you paid your debt to society? When you're finished with your jail time? After 5 more years of no convictions? Under our current system, the answer is never. No matter how that person lives, or no matter how cleanly they live, they will always be considered an ex-felon. We pride ourselves as Americans in our tradition of constitutional fairness, but can we be big enough to forgive? When people are in prison or in jail, they might make plans on what they're going to do to turn their lives around when they get out. Quite often it comes as a surprise to discover that employers, landlords, banks, and state agencies have no convict policies. Even if they're qualified, they're not hired or given an apartment or given a bank loan or given a license to practice medicine or law or to sell stocks or to even sell cars and real estate. Should we really be surprised when that person reoffends? Even though it may be difficult, if a person has given up his or her freedom as a currency to repay the harm that they've inflicted upon society, can we say that they've paid enough? Right now, any felony conviction is a de facto life sentence. In the 1990s, starting with California's Get Tough on Crime initiatives, which resulted in the 3 strikes you're out policy, which many states have subsequently adapted, politicians have realized that there are many political gains to be had by making a stand against criminals, even though that may cost hundreds of millions of dollars. Spending this money is political Teflon in the sense that any politician who questions the wisdom of spending so much money is instantly branded as soft on crime. Getting tough on crime has led to a doubling of the percentage of population that we have currently incarcerated between 1974 and 2001. Doesn't it seem logical that some of those who come out of prison end up back inside because they find limited choices or feel discriminated against based on their criminal pasts? In fact, in California, the toughest state on crime, 72% of all prisoners find themselves back in jail within 3 years, compared to Maine at just over 50%. Comparatively speaking, Maine is one of the more liberal states when it comes to the rights of the incarcerated and the ex-incarcerated. Maine, along with Vermont, are the only states where inmates, parolees, and convicted felons are allowed to vote. This is important because Mississippi and 11 other states have barred a total of 5.3 million Americans from this most basic civil liberty for the rest of their lives. Especially for those who have left prison and gone on to be productive members of society, this goes against one of the basic pillars that the United States was founded on and that every child studying the Revolutionary War learns: no taxation without representation. In this case, Maine and Vermont are noteworthy examples of forgiveness that we can't take for granted. If we give in to fears and become a more punitive society in the hopes of becoming a more safe society, then we may be doing just the opposite. Many of our criminals come from disenfranchised pasts. Policies against doing business or working with ex-cons make sure that they live in a disenfranchised present as well. By alienating all the ex-cons in a one-size-fits-all fashion, we may be offsetting the rehabilitative effects that some of our prisons have. Do we allow convicted felons enough of a chance to turn over a new leaf? And are some of our policies discriminating against ex-cons so unfairly that they become destitute and reoffend? Some ex-prisoners surely don't want to go back in. If those prisoners want to turn their lives around, they should be given an honest chance to get a job where they can make an honest living, and be allowed to rent an apartment with the honest wages that they've earned, and go back to school and pursue professional goals, and if they work hard, be able to get a bank loan to buy a home and leave their lives of crime behind them forever. This is rehabilitation in its purest form. Now, I'm not naive enough to think that every ex-felon can become a model citizen, nor do I think that all criminals should be given equal chances no matter their offense. The only thing I want to emphasize is that we need to think about the policies that our representatives come up with. The next time you see an ad for a policy change that should be tough on criminals, just think about it before you vote. Does the proposed punishment fit the crime? Does the policy make it tougher to get out of a life of crime? And would the results simply improve statistical data so that a politician who's up for re-election can point to that statistic and say that he or she is keeping you and your family safer? Your vote is valuable and has far-reaching consequences. If you use it carefully, America can be a safer, better place for everyone.